So I'm Graham Blanks, and this is my personal best.
I'm Axel a Division III runner from Bowdoin College, and this is my personal best. Every Tuesday, I explore the sport of running through interviewing the best pro athletes, insiders, and personalities about a journey that begins with the feet and ends with landing in a solid headspace. We connected with Graham right before his Diamond League debut. He's a recent Harvard grad and a back-to-back NCAA national champ for cross country, and he's also a 2024 Paris Olympian in the 5K. This show is brought to you by A Mile a Minute. A Mile a Minute is your daily home for running shoes, news, food, in-depth journalism, features, podcasts, photos, and the culture of the sport. So, Graham, you're a couple days out from graduation. How does it feel knowing that you're about to enter the real world?
Well, first of all, I'm lucky because I'm not really in the real world. I'm a professional runner, so I kind of get to live out this like fairy tale for the next who knows how many years, as long as my legs keep working well. So I'm grateful for that I get to do a job that's not very typical and one that I really enjoy. However, it is a little scary. You lose a little bit of structure. I had to travel down here alone. It's like I'm kind of like an adult now, so it is a little odd. But I'm looking forward to being able to travel, be on my own, kind of have the independence to do what I want to do.
Do you feel like you'll miss Harvard?
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think it's going to sink in until the fall semester starts up without me next fall. So. And it's going to slowly sink in throughout the summer. But I think most of all, I'm going to just miss kind of just like the chaos of it all, like being a student athlete and living in a dorm. It can be infuriating at sometimes and really difficult, but I think I'll look back and miss it a lot and miss kind of having that lifestyle.
Some of my fondest memories are suffering through hard workouts with my teammates and us getting closer. Walk us through the decision on signing with New Balance and that transition from college to pro.
I made the decision kind of this fall. It was kind of a decision I was talking to my agent about turning professional early, and it was a decision I didn't take lightly because I think I didn't take for granted what I had at Harvard and like what I had with the team, and I didn't want to really let go of that just yet, but. After some of those conversations and thinking on it, I decided to forego my eligibility for basically professional reasons, which is being able to make my own schedule, kind of optimize my life for competition, and I also got to attend graduation, which is something we don't get to do if you're on the team because we have to compete in the regional championships the same weekend. So that was also a small part of it. But yeah, and even now, like I said, I tried not to take it for granted, but I am gonna miss the lifestyle of being on the team and training with a bunch of your friends and just having a good time.
Now, without the structure of a college schedule, you have the freedom to compete in world-class events with world-class athletes. Has that ever set into you now that it's going to be more of an individual sport as to fighting and winning points for the team?
It's different. It's kind of harder. You have to kind of find something within you to push you in those last few moments of the race when it hurts a lot. When you're on a team, it's pretty easy. I mean, I know when we're fighting for team points in cross country or track, I know I'm running for something bigger than myself, which is I'm representing my school and I'm representing most importantly my teammates. Now you kind of have to turn inwards and find a reason to do it for yourself, or not even necessarily yourself, but just find a reason outside of being on a team. And I guess for me, it does come intuitively for me. I think it's just I want to see how good I can get And I also know there's a lot of people that also want to see how good I can get. And so that's kind of my motivation at this point.
Coming up in the sport in high school and even in college, of course, there were a bunch of guys that you looked up to. Now that you've turned professional, has that relationship changed with these guys?
Yeah, it's different now. I mean, it's you kind of like when you're the new kid on the block, you kind of just want to act like you've been here before. So like, of course, like track is a weird sport where everyone kind of knows everyone. Like you kind of keep up with the results. So like, you put me in a room with a bunch of professional distance runners, I could probably name at least 95% of them. I would imagine a good amount of them could also name me, but it's never really like buddy buddy unless you get to know the other person. So I don't think there's anyone I necessarily like look up to as in like I'm racing any heroes now. If anything, my competitors from my high school days and my college days, those who remain, who continue to rise to the even more elite levels, those are my competitors now. So really, that's the constant of exceptional American distance running is I'm still racing the same people I've been racing the past 4 years.
You've made it in the big stages as both a collegiate and already as a new professional. How does it feel like knowing that you're part of the next generation of American distance runners? And is there any pressure to perform even better now being put in that group with expectations?
I don't think there's a burden on my shoulders, but I do. For me, it's kind of you know no pun intended, but it's a race against the clock. Because I do want to be the best athlete I can be, and I do want to have a legacy that I can be proud of. I want to win medals. I want to win gold medals. I want to break records. Um, but you only have so much time as a distance runner, as just an athlete in general. I'm sure this is something that all athletes feel is you only have so much time while you're in your prime. And so for me, that's the only burden is I know my time is limited here, but also in the sport. So I want to take, I want to take advantage of the opportunity and do as best as I can.
Nowadays, we're seeing more and more track phenoms, especially with high school kids running such fast times at an early age. Did you always know that track was going to be the sport for you?
Nope, absolutely not. No, I wanted to be a soccer player. I think I've been thinking about this a little bit, like upon graduating, like I guess you kind of get nostalgic, but I do think deep down I wanted to be an athlete. I don't think it's very unique. I think everyone wants to be an athlete, and I think for good reason. Like I think we look up to athletes, and that's really what they're supposed to be. They're supposed to be entertainers and people who make you feel a type of way. They're artists in a way who try to make you feel inspired or feel certain ways watching them perform, or for me, people watching me race. But I did not expect to be in this position at all. In fact, I chose Harvard because I wanted to take advantage of being good enough to go run Division One. I wasn't thinking that far ahead in terms of running. I just wanted to set myself up for the future. But I was lucky enough to have a good system, have a good coach, good teammates to get to this point. And I couldn't be happier with where I'm at. I mean, this is what I want to do.
When looking at the sport of track and the next generation of athletes that are going to come from it, whether in high school and college, everyone is more motivated than ever to get to the top. What is your advice for those kids really wanting to know how Graham Blanks got to where he's at now?
I think I've my path to this level has been a little different than some of my competitors. Like I wasn't particularly a fantastic high school runner. I was certainly good towards the end, and that's how I got recruited to Harvard. But also, just I was the first male to ever win a national championship in cross country from the Ivy League. My training is a bit weird. It's like, or not weird, but I would say maybe unorthodox, at least. Not many of my competitors train the way I do. And the places I train, such as Athens, Georgia, Boston, Massachusetts, are not places my competitors would ever choose to train because they'd rather be at altitude and, really have that set up. So I hope my legacy is to be someone who kind of made unique choices and carved his own path to like hopefully being the best in the world. And that's part of the reason I want to train in my hometown and continue to work with my coaches because I want to do everything on my own terms. And really, hopefully younger athletes will look up and say, I don't need to really copy anyone else. Like I can really forge my own path and get to the top.
Well said, Graham. Thanks for coming on the show. Now it's time for the race of the week. And my pick for today's episode is Nike's Breaking 4, Faith Kipyegon versus the 4-minute mile. When choosing the best person to break this huge barrier, it's a no-brainer that Nike would go for Faith Kipyegon. She's the best women's middle distance runner of all time, with a world record in both the 1500 and the mile. And besides running the fast times, most importantly, she is also a winner, being a 3-time Olympic champion and a 4-time world champion. So going in, trying to break this huge barrier and shave off a decent amount of seconds off of her PR, we know going into this, especially training and towing the line, that she's going to have the mental fortitude to push those limits and see how fast she could go. She wasn't alone on her quest to break 4 minutes. Nike pulled out all the stops to recruit some of the best athletes like Grant Fisher, Georgia Bell, and Gemma Reekie to pace Faith. So with as many variables controlled as possible, it's time to look at the splits and see what the numbers are showing us. For the majority of the race, Faith was on pace, hitting a 60-60 and then a 61 for the third lap. Coming into the Bell lap, however, we saw how fatigued she was, and she ended up finishing the last lap in a 64. Comparing this to her world record effort at the 2023 Monaco Diamond League, she was running 62s for all of that race until she negative split in a 60 last lap. So while a 406 is still a ways off from a 359, this event in my books is still considered a success. And for Faith Kipyegon's second race of the season, this is showing really good upside for how good she will be when September rolls around for Worlds. And in terms of if that 4-minute barrier will ever be broken for women, the fact that Faith was able to go under her PR shows huge strides for progress, that eventually one day that not only she will break the 4-minute barrier, but other women will be able to as well. And with that concludes today's episode. If you're enjoying the show so far, please make sure to give us a rating and tell people how much you love it. Until then, this is Axel, and this is my personal best.